Hi everyone, Miss Elizabeth here for First Congregational Church of Muskegon Confirmation Class. For today's video lesson, we return to Unit 3, the unit in our curriculum about inclusion and how we can feel connected to our community. Our lesson today is about experiencing the oneness of all through service. We're following the Progressive Christianity curriculum that First Congregational Church has purchased, although we do not own the copyright to this material. Service and serving others helps us expand our awareness beyond ourselves. Learning the joy of service is one of the best ways to keep our hearts open to all. Our affirmation is, through service, I can share my love and energy and feel connected to all. Here's some quotes I want to share. From 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. Little children, let us love, not in word or speech, but in truth and action. And a Mexican proverb that says, a good deed is the best prayer. Also from the Bible, the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 35 through 40. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. And then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you? And the king will answer them, truly, I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me. And from the song Help Somebody by Susan Werner, I got plenty and then some, what do I do? Plenty and then some, what do I do? I got plenty and then some, what do I do now? I go out and help somebody get plenty and then some too. And Mahatma Gandhi said, consciously or unconsciously, every one of us does render some service or another. If we cultivate the habit of doing this service deliberately, our desire for service will steadily grow stronger, and it will make not only for our own happiness, but that of the world at large. Through service, we find love and truth in action. Service to others is an opportunity to experience omnipresent spirit because we gradually learn that we're not merely helping another person, we're serving the highest good, and we become love in action. The reason Jesus suggested that we ought to serve the poor and downtrodden, the lame and the blind, is really a means for breaking down barriers between them and us. When we serve with love and compassion, those whom we serve become brothers and sisters and not the others. Did you have a chance to see our worship service at First Congregational Church this morning? For the special music, a duet entwined two songs, What Child Is This? And Child of the Poor by Scott Soper. I was struck by the contrast of the two different texts. The beautiful imagery of bringing gifts to the Christ child sleeping on Mary's lap is quite far from the refrain, "Who is this who lives with the lowly, sharing their sorrows and knowing their hunger? This is Christ, revealed to the world in the eyes of a child of the poor." If you've been following these lessons this year, you know that I try to feature a commencement speech that connects with the theme of the lesson. Let's hear a story from Mr. Fred Rogers from a speech he gave to the graduating class of 2002 at Dartmouth. Have you heard my favorite story that came from the Seattle Special Olympics? Well, for the 100-yard dash, there were 9 contestants, all of them so-called physically or mentally disabled. All 9 of them assembled at the starting line, and at the sound of a gun, they took off. But not long afterward, one little boy stumbled and fell and hurt his knee and began to cry. The other 8 children heard him crying. They slowed down, turned around, and ran back to him. Every one of them ran back to him. One little girl with Down syndrome bent down and kissed the boy and said, "This'll make it better." The little boy got up, and he and the rest of the runners linked their arms together and joyfully walked to the finish line. They all finished the race at the same time, and when they did, everyone in that stadium stood up and clapped and whistled and cheered for a long, long time. People who were there are still telling this story with great delight. And you know why. Because deep down, we know that what matters in this life is more than winning for ourselves. What really matters is helping others win too, even if it means slowing down and changing our course now and then. In our faith tradition, we call our time of worship together a service. And another phrase you might be familiar with is community service. Take some quiet time to consider these questions about service. Who has offered you service this week? Who have you served this week? Is there anyone in your family, church, school, or community who is in need of service? What can you do? Is there anyone you know who would benefit by doing service for others? Fred Rogers finished his commencement speech with this: "It's you I like, every part of you, your skin, your eyes, your feelings, whether old or new. I hope that you remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like. It's you, yourself. It's you. It's you I like." And what that ultimately means, of course, is that you don't ever have to do anything sensational for people to love you. When I say it's you I like, I'm talking about that part of you that knows that life is far more than anything you can ever see or hear or touch. That deep part of you that allows you to stand for those things without which humankind cannot survive. Love that conquers hate, peace that rises triumphant over war, and justice that proves more powerful than greed. So in all that you do, in all of your life, I wish you the strength and the grace that to make those choices which will allow you and your neighbor to become the best of whoever you are. I hope you'll get a chance to watch Mr. Rogers' entire commencement speech. I will put a link of the YouTube video of his speech in the description section for this video lesson. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.